of the sculpting on this face takes more time and effort than, like, it just is a lot of little fussing. So what I'm saying is, you're going to do it more. We're going to get all the pieces in shape, and then you're going to keep stabbing. We want to get 2 eyes in here. So I'm going to use the black, and I'm going to pull thin strips, and I'm going to use the toothpick. And I just want to make sure that my strips are pretty equal. This one seems to have a little bit more fiber. And on the toothpick, I just try to keep it in the same little bump, and I do a little bit of a figure 8, and that concentrates the wool in the center and makes that little bubble. Then you slide that off and do your next one. As soon as I get it stuck, I start a little figure 8, angling from one direction to the other. And then Finley is walking around, accompanying our...
Finley has a piece of paper, and I think your cell phone is still on.
Oh,
It's been a crazy day.
my cell phone. Did you hear my phone?
I heard it go, ding.
Okay, I'm leaning in. Oh, I'm getting my phone. There we go. I don't even hear it anymore. It's terrible. So you're going to have these little almond-shaped eyes, but you want to stab them. I try to think more of like a sunset. It's like a crescent or a half circle. Trying to keep a lot of curve on the top and a little bit flatter on the bottom. And again, I like to use my strong needle to really get something stuck. Having difficulty.
It does not want to stick.
If you're working on a small area, you can, and you don't want to stick your fingers in there. Let's see, the toothpick's going to work better because it's a little sharper. You can hold it with a toothpick or another needle. Little felting tip, so to speak. Okay. Get those stuck just so, okay, now we know where the eyes are. And then different sculptures are going to need different things here. I feel like he already has enough forehead. On this rabbit, I actually rolled another piece, kind of like we did our cheeks, on the Zuli tool, and then put it this way because I felt like he needed more forehead. But this head is already pretty big. So instead, I'm just going to make an eyebrow, and I'm going to use the light gray, and I'm going to use the toothpick, taking a little bit more than I took for the eyes. And instead of a tight little lump, I'm trying to make a little bit more of a seed, so I'm letting it spread out on the toothpick a little bit more, kind of like the size of a sunflower.
Wow. It's a day of everything.
It is. And then you just slide these shapes off, and I put them on top of the eye. I'm lucky. This face is coming out pretty good without a ton of extra stabbing. Sometimes I really have to stab them into submission before it looks the way that I want it to look. It's starting to look like a rabbit. Yeah. Okay. Next we're going to make the ears, and then once the ears are on, I'll start putting top coat colors and blending seams and stuff. The ears are really fun. I love laying these out. We want to take 2 nice even 2-inch squares of core wool. Just kind of pull them into the right shape. And then we're going to do our gradient again. So I'm going to put the white, the top coat white at the bottom. A real thin piece, just overlapping what I already have there. And then the seal point. Across the top. A little bit more there. And then the medium gray. Kind of have to make it a little bit more, this layer a little bit more translucent, because I want it to bring the other two colors together. And then a little bit of the light gray. So now I got it. There we go. Okay. I'm going to stab them just to make sure everything stays where I put it. And then one at a time, let me set this one aside. You're going to flip it over. And I like to stab up and down the center to establish that center line. And you can use the tool. If you use the tool, fold that top, just roll that very tippy edge back, and then fold your two sides in, following the tool. And then I like to slide it out and then finish folding the edges in. And you really want all the wool to come in and overlap the center. You don't want to roll it like this, because then you end up with a big fat edge and no wool in the center. If you don't have a tool, you just stab the tip back a little bit, and then you just draw a rabbit ear. The tool just helps keep things consistent if you have a hard time making two of the same thing. And then you fold the wool in along the line that you drew. Like this. And now ears are a great place for, you gotta lift off your felting surface to make sure it doesn't get too embedded. Ears are a great place to use this punch tool. Really felts large flat areas really well. Before I finish out the ear, I want to put a little bit of pink. This is our bunny bear, which we card and make here because it has just the right amount of pink in it. It's not too pink, it's not too pale. And I'm going to stab that into the center. And then I'm going to fold the base of the ear to start to get some dimension to it. And I just stab it to hold it, leaving some fringe on the end. Don't felt it firmly together the whole way down, because you want that fringe to hold the ear on. And then once your ear is finished, you're going to fluff that fringe out. And you're going to put it up above the cheek, behind the eye. Don't get it right on top of the eye. You want it set back from the eye a little bit. And just fan that fluff out and start felting it down. So I have my other ear ready. I'm going to fluff out the fringe. Hopefully they're the same. Let's see. Not too bad. And then stick it on. Now, me getting them in the same spot on the head symmetrically, that's another story. Yeah, see, I always do this. Always a little different. Cast shadow on my project. Hey, Milo, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Don't you eat that bunny. You can snuggle it, but don't you eat it.
Just loving it.
Okay. Good. He looks like something. He looks like something. Now, again, whether they need to add, this one I didn't add a little triangle here. on top. I just felted the nose here. On this one, I actually made a tiny little triangle and felted it on to give it more definition. This one, I feel like I have enough wool here just to stab that Y shape to get their little nose. And then make sure to look at some reference pictures too, because you might see something that you need to do to make it look more bunny-like that I'm not saying that your bunny needs. So, okay. We've got our ears on. Now we're going to start putting our top coat on, blending seams, hiding unfortunate accidents. He's a little long in the body. I keep ending up long. Okay. First, let's cover the belly. Gonna lay him out. I feel like my bunny's a little skinny, so I'm actually gonna take some top coat and just lay it right on his belly core wool, before I put the top coat on. It just needs to be fattened up. Then I'm gonna take the white and I'm gonna just pull thin sections and lay it over the entire belly, letting the wool go side to side. And stab that.
So the caramel, you could do white belly or...
That's right. That's a good point. So the caramel, you could, when you make the chest, make a white chest and white belly. That's what I did with this guy. You could do a white chest. This is a different color, but you could do a white chest and brown belly. Just depends. He's got a white chest and brown belly too. Shush.
Guys, snorted. Snorted.
Okay. Now whether you, on his legs, I think I'm just going to take a little bit of the top coat white and let the fringy edges go down just over that gray and kind of blend that gray in. I'm going to do that on each hind leg just before I put the white across the top, just to get these legs a little more finished. Now, since he's a white rabbit, we don't have to actually make a pelt. We're just going to lay more white top coat on. I'm looking at his front legs, and I'm going to put a little white at the tops of the front legs too. So I'm going to take a 2 to 3 inch piece and split it in half, and then just do one wrap around there before I put the pelt on. You want the tops of the legs of your animal, no matter what animal you're making, to be a color that's going to blend with the pelt or the top coat once you put that on. This is a little too off-whitey looking. There we go. Looks nice too. It looks a little more blended. Okay. So now we're ready to go. We've already got our tail on, so the top coat's going to help hold that tail on and hide any seams there. Someone's calling. Someone wants to talk to us and ask us questions.
Maybe are the bunnies done yet?
Are the bunnies done yet? So instead of felting a pelt onto my felting surface, I'm just putting the white across. And on the copper bunny, I actually really like this color, and I used my core as my top coat You do have some chestnut, which you could lay across if you wanted to.
You'd want to use the core and chestnut if you were using the chestnut?
Yes, a little bit of both.
A blend.
Yeah, a little blend. I thought Kyla was here for a minute.
Well, you know,
Okay.
Kyla's all distracted by the barking.
Getting the back of
Phone.
back of the head. Get some core wool. I mean, some top coat wool. I'm just mixing up my terms. Then we want to get the under the chin and the chest because we have a lot of seams there. I actually left this little bunny really quite fuzzy, which I kind of like. Let's see, this little one is a little more kind of tightly finished, and then this one's a little more
It's like Angora
fuzzy,
without
crazy.
the Angora
Yeah.
attaching.
And then I'll do a little bit of white under the chin, and it'll help hide those cheek seams. Really, their little mouth is just right up here, right up. The corners of their mouths don't go much past 1/8 of an inch or so from the tip of the chin. Okay, and then I don't do a ton of, I don't really decide how much I want everything blended until I get it on here. Okay, now on the head, we're going to want top coat in 3 or 4 places. One is on the cheeks. So I take my white, I try to get a little bit, like a little inch by a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to stab it in right under the eye, right across the center, just under the eye, like this. Then I'm going to fold the top half down over the bottom half. Like that. And then this is where you decide, do you want him to be a poofy little bunny, or do you want to felt all of that smooth? I don't know yet, so I'm going to leave it. You don't even have to do this on the copper bunny. If you like that copper color, you don't have to add any more top coat. Oh, we are so popular today.
Yeah, it's something else.
The other place that I want to put some wool is between the eye and the ear. I don't like how, I want this to look less joined up. I want it to look just like fur there. This time I'm just taking some and I'm just laying it in there and stabbing it on. This is where they go through this hot mess kind of phase.
So, how does the Easter Bunny stay healthy?
Lots of carrots.
Exercise.
Thanks.
Wait, it
Should've
gets
had that.
better. Particularly hair aerobics.
All right, we have to stop for 1 second. All right, so I've got the cheeks, I've got up around the ears, and now I want to go, he looks like an old man bunny. I want to go over the forehead, and I'm going to let the fringe blend with the gray here. This is a little tricky, but you just got to make sure you get the right amount of wool, probably down to its shortest staple. So just pull it and restack it. And then put it right on top of the forehead.
Oh, it's like a little bit of a toupee.
Yeah. And then all this fringe, using my single needle, I'm just going to stab around, and that gray is going to peek through a little bit. I'm going to show you how to do the blue eye. We'll give this guy blue eyes. I usually do it on the brown bunnies, but we'll just do it on this guy so you can see it. Trying to keep the white out of the black. I'll put a little black, I'll take a tiny bit of my black. It's just a tiny bit, and roll it in my fingers and make a little black V, where I want the nose to be. The black is really the slit, the space between the nose and the muzzle, like our nostrils. And then if you want some pink, here you take a little tuft of pink and roll it in your fingers until you get a little tiny seed shape, and then you put the pink in a little V above the black. I'm going to take a little bit more black, another tiny bit, and draw this line. So maybe on your second rabbit, you can experiment with teeth and spots and all kinds of fun things. I'm also going to draw a tiny little mouth. Kind of has a mouth line already, but the black just kind of reinforces that. A stronger needle. You can even curl it up on the ends a little bit. Gives them a little smile. Like that. And then I'll go around and I'll just kind of decide, you know, how much do I want to blend all of this fuzziness. If you don't want it to be really fuzzy, you just keep stabbing these edges in. For example, here, I'll just kind of roll that around and stab it in. Same thing on this side. Just pull that extra fuzz around. Stab it in. Okay, so the blue eye is not too hard. Just get all the extra loose fiber out of the way.
Zooming.
Zooming is good. Oh, sorry, me bumping the camera is not. This is merino. We just love the color. So with merino, I like to really actually like kind of break it up and try to make it less linear. It's a really fine fiber, so you can break it because you want it to be short and fluffy, or else you're going to end up with blue stripes all over the place. So see how I've really broken it down. This is the staple length, but I'm like holding it in my fingers and ripping it basically.
You're messing it up.
I am. I'm really messing it up. Okay, so now I have enough for 2 eyes. I'm going to split this in half. And just kind of stab this into the black here using a medium, this is too strong, medium gauge needle. 38. I'm gonna actually switch to my 40 twist. Switch to my 40 twist. There it is. This does not have as much pull to it, so it's felting without denting, which is what you want when you get into these little details. And then now we need to put the pupil back into the center. So now we're back to the black. And it's just a tiny bit, and you jumble it up into a little dot. And stab it on, right into the center. Leaving the blue. Oh my gosh, can you see?
Yes. I think so.
Okay.
We're pretty close up.
I'm having a hard time seeing. Maybe I just need to go get some glasses. Maybe it's time.
You could
for my
watch your own.
for my middle-aged glasses.
You could watch your own tutorial.
And then we're gonna put a white dot. Now, if you want to, you can blend some white and blue. What really makes a colored eye look more shiny or realistic is if opposite the white dot, you highlight the color. I'll show you what I mean in 1 second. So we put the white dot. I usually like to put it up at about 2 o'clock, off center towards the back, top. Tiny little white dot. So I would put a lighter blue in a little semicircle right here, opposite the. So if the eye is a sphere, what it is it's the light coming through and lightening this blue. So that's just a little extra detail if you want to go there. Bunnies. Woohoo. He's a happy bunny. Okay, so I've unbundled my little curly cue of whiskers. And I'm going to select a whisker. We're going to pretend that both of his eyes are finished. And I'm going to thread my needle. And then I'm going to poke through one side and come out the other. And I like to put them not all perfectly straight, but some at angles and some a little farther back the muzzle and some a little farther forward. So I pull it until the whisker is the length that I want it. So I know it's probably hard to see, but it's about 2 inches there. So then I cut this end, and you can get a couple of whiskers out of each strand. Put lots and lots of whiskers. You could even put whiskers over the eyes, like they have little whiskers in their eyebrows. And then once I have them all in there, I usually do between 3 and 5. I like to use this super glue. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil just to put a little dot right where the whisker meets the wool, and that keeps it from slipping through like that. Just a tiny bit. I'm just finishing up here, Milo.
I've got one more joke.
Okay.
It was my favorite.
Oh, good. We better hear it then. I'm sure it's a good one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you hear about the hotel owner who raised a baby rabbit?
No, I did not hear about the hotel owner who raised a baby rabbit.
It was an ingrown hair. Right?
Wait, ingrown?
He's a hotel. It's an inn.
Oh.
He was raised in an
okay.
grown. Well, I thought it was great.
Oh.
The bunnies are cute.
At least the bunnies are cute.
My jokes are great. The Bunnies are cute.
The bunnies are cute and they're fun to make, and we have obviously 2 colors in our supply pack, but there's endless possibilities. So.
Gray's cute.
Yeah, gray. I love gray. I love gray to black with white spots and blue eyes. That's one of my favorites.
Like tan's cute.
Yeah. And we have that. We have those colors in our top coat section.
Yes.
Yes.
Am I looking rough?
You always look cute.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on our next project.
Bye. Oh, sorry. What's next?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.